lazy ass hasn't done a film review in a while, so I thought, why not just stick to the 1980s? You know, that famous decade of Coke, Reagan, and some pretty iconic films. Well, for this installment, we're going to look at a 1984 film that's garnered a pretty strong cult following since its release. Is it as good as they say? Guess we're going to find out. I'm Bob, you're you, and this is Classically Bad Cinema.
Night of the Comet is a science fiction comedy horror film that was written and directed by Tom Eberhardt. Inspiration for the film premise came from teenage girls that he encountered while filming PBS specials. He was simply asked, what would you do if you woke up one morning and everybody was gone? Their answers were the driving force behind the overall tone of the film being lighthearted. It wasn't until the discussion of the loss of loved ones did really the gravity of the circumstances emerge. At a time when fear of nuclear annihilation was a thing, Eberhardt made a quirky movie about the end of the world. But rather than being the result of nuclear war, man's annihilation is brought on with the excitement of a passing comet. Released in 1984, it grossed $14.4 million at the box office on a budget of just $700,000. It has become a cult classic and an influence of the creation of Buffy Summers. Luckily for us, the film jumps right into a heavenly voice giving us the backstory of the comet.
The visitor was returning. As their planet orbited through the tail of the comet, scientists predicted a light show of stellar proportions, something not seen on Earth for 65 million years, not since the time that the dinosaurs disappeared, virtually overnight.
Damn, that thing almost sounds like Thanos, hell-bent on the destruction of half of life of the universe. A small band of scientific conspiracy vault dwellers believe that this isn't a coincidence, and they safely tuck themselves behind the shielded walls of their vault. For everyone else, it's time to party 80s style.
Do a lot of coke and vote for Ronald Reagan.
And no once-in-a-lifetime event would be complete without some crappy merchandise.
Merchandising, merchandising, where the real money from the movie is made.
Nice it is. That's great. I know you go. $9.50.
Damn, $9.50? Are you kidding me? That's really steep.
Are you out of your goddamn mind?
You know, I looked it up. That's like $28.50 in today's money. Anyways, we meet 18-year-old Regina Belmont working at a theater in Southern California. Or at least she should be, but she's pretty occupied with the Tempest video game, much to the annoyance of her boss. But she ain't got time for no work.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
She discovers the initial DMK has the 6th highest score among her high scores and is bound and determined to knock the name off the list. Damn, it's nice to see young people with career goals. Across town, Reggie's 16-year-old sister Samantha is at home with their stepmom Doris, who's busy with the neighborhood Comet block party and getting pretty chummy with the neighbor Chuck. The two get into a pretty heated argument and things come to blow when Sam accuses her of cheating on her dad.
Kick his ass, Seabass!
Well, she and her busted lip decide to spend the night in a garden shed, missing one hell of a light show. Well, as good of a light show as you can create in the 1980s on a limited budget. While the world parties 80s style, the theater projectionist and Reggie's boyfriend Larry is wheeling and dealing on the phone, making a deal to loan out a film to be copied. Man, what a rich life. Working at the theater, pirating films for $110 a pop.
You talking to the Rolex wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun.
Larry needs Reggie's assistance in sneaking back in once the guy returns with the film in the morning. I mean, not sure why he couldn't just prop the door open or just, open the door and grab the film. The two spend the night in a steel-lined projection booth waiting for the guy to return and, of course, have sex. I mean, it is the 80s after all. The next morning, a red haze covers the sky. Shit, I hope Ming isn't back. There's no signs of life, just piles of red dust and heaps of clothes everywhere. Damn it, maybe the visitor was Thanos. Unaware anything has occurred, Larry's irate that the guy hasn't returned with the film yet, fearing he could be in some pretty deep shit. You mean risking jail time and thousands of dollars in fine wasn't worth the risk?
I wonder if I should have held out for more than $65.
He hears a knock on the door and assumes it's his pirate friend, only to encounter a zombie.
We got some crazies in here, huh?
Now, if you guessed Larry was killed in the back alley with the wrench by a zombie, you'd be a winner. After finally beating DMK's 6th place high score, which disappeared off the machine instead of going to 7th, Reggie finally decides to go look for Larry outside, completely ignoring the dust, the clothes, and the reddish haze of the morning sky. She locks herself out when the garbage can she was using to prop the door proves to be no match for this heavy-ass door.
You done messed up, Aaron!
Answering my earlier question why Larry wanted her help. She runs around the back of the theater and right into the zombie that's enjoying himself a delicious Larry breakfast sandwich.
It was delicious!
After a scuffle between the two, she managed to escape on a motorcycle that Larry no longer needs.
Are you dead? Because if you are, I'm going to take off.
She races home through the empty and desolate city to find her sister has survived. Doris, not so much. She explains and finally convinces her of the disaster that unfolded the night before.
After trying 4 times to explain it to Homer, I explained it to Mom, and we were on our way.
Luckily, Sam isn't completely oblivious to the reality of their situation, and we get spared a bullshit miss level of convincing. With no clue what to do next, they head to the local radio station if they hear a DJ on air, hopeful that somebody else has survived. But their hope is short-lived when they discover it's just a pre-recorded show. The trip wasn't a total loss, though. Enter Hector Gomez. He survived in the back of a semi with the lucky young lady, unlike the person in the Mercedes. The girl accompanying him bolted the following morning after witnessing the grim realities of life post-Comet, which includes zombies munching on McCat sandwiches.
Matter of fact, it's the best burger I've had in years.
He would later discover her being devoured like Larry was. Reggie concludes that they all spent the night in steel containers, which she believed protected them from the comet's effect.
Oh shit.
Sam decides to jump on the mic, and good thing this is 1984 and not 1987.
Good morning, Vietnam!
She almost immediately receives a call on the station's hit line.
Well, it looks like we have our first caller. And I mean ever, because this is not a call-in show.
From the researchers in the vault out in the desert that we're going to refer to as vault dwellers. Not only do we have to contend with Reggie, Sam, and Hector bitching at each other, we also get a double dose as the vault dwellers do the same.
Oh, bitch, bitch, bitch!
Most want to bring in survivors, but one vault dweller is apprehensive of bringing in any outside. The other theorize that the zombies were less exposed to the comet and will eventually disintegrate into dust, and urge the vault overseer to bring the survivors in for reasons we're going to learn later. Through the chaos of post-comet life, Sam takes some time for self-care and goes on a joyride in a Porsche and catches the attention of probably the only 2 police officers in the city left. Or are they? Of course it's all a bad dream. She ends up going to the restroom so she can gather herself, only to be attacked for real this time. Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Son of a bitch!
Another dream?
How am I supposed to trust this movie, huh?
Of course, it would be a dream inside of a dream. We better make sure it's real this time and not lying to us again.
Lying asshole! Lying assholes!
Plus, this sequence doesn't make a lot of sense when you factor in she hasn't had any contact with any zombies up to this point. While the girls get a hold of and test out some firepower, Hector takes off for sunny San Diego to check on family, only to discover more red haze, an empty house, and a rabid neighbor kid that wants to tear his throat out. Meanwhile, back at the Vault Dweller's lair, all is not well. She is tasked with going to LA for survivors, but is still hell-bent against it, arguing their sole purpose was survival, not bringing in outsiders. Her anger and disgust only intensifies when she sees 2 kids get off a helicopter. While Vault Dwellers look for survivors, Hector runs from rabid neighbor kids, the girls have a heart-to-heart on the hood of the squad car, as those conversations Eberhard had plays out as Sam realizes all she's lost.
That's kind of a downer.
To cheer her up, Reggie suggests a little shopping's 80s style. Now, this is one of those scenes you get when you ask a movie to tell you it's from the 80s without actually telling you it's from the 80s. Unfortunately, the fun and games are cut short when they discover they're not alone.
No, it's not fun anymore, not even a little bit.
And to make matters even worse,
How could they get any worse?
they have to find where they left their weapons. After some action-packed music, a shootout, shoe throwing, and some dead zombie thugs, the girls are caught and subjected to a freaked-out zombie game of scary noises. Damn, this mall takes shoplifting seriously.
So be smart. Say no to stealing.
Just as all seems lost, the Vault Dwellers finally show up and dispose of the zombified stock boys.
Clean up on aisle 5.
Reggie is taken to the vault, leaving White and fellow Vault Dweller Oscar behind to take care of the potentially infected Sam. White attempts numerous times to get rid of Oscar, who stubbornly refuses to take a hint, much to White's growing frustration.
Oh no. Bitch!
After administering a supposed lethal injection to Sam, White makes one last attempt and tells Oscar that they can go because Sam didn't think Hector was going to come back.
There's only one thing I hate more than lying. Skim milk, which is water that's lying about being milk.
In reality, they're all infected and have mere hours left, thus the need for the survivors. When all subtleties fail and Oscar is still refusing to leave, White shoots Oscar.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Yeah, good luck explaining that one to HR.
You thought? You thought? How's that working out for you?
Not very well.
Not very well.
When Hector finally does return, he finds White at the radio station, and it turns out they're not who they seem.
No!
He learns that they were exposed to the comet when the vault's ventilation system was left open and running, and fills him in on why they need survivors before she dies from an actual lethal injection. Back at the vault, a whole lot of stuff is going to happen in a short amount of time.
Very pleased we have so much time and so little to see. Wait a minute. Strike that. Reverse it.
After learning Sam is potentially dead and sensing things aren't on the up and up, Reggie manages to escape and sees firsthand how depraved these dwellers are. Not only are they harvesting blood of survivors for a cure, but they're terminating brain function in order to do it.
This sucks.
I mean, were survivors willingly donating their blood like not an option that was on the table? Hector and Sam, who, surprise, didn't die, devise a rescue plan that utilizes explosives. Not sure if this is going to be overkill, but only one way to find out. Sam cuts the power and seriously eps up their harvesting plans that allows Reggie to save the kids. They manage to escape from the vault as the dwellers give chase, but instead of taking off, Hector wants to watch his handiwork.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
I myself love a good old explosion, but this little stunt almost ends badly.
You're a stupid dumbass.
The rains come, the haze leaves, and the survivors just to life post-Comet. Some better than others.
This sucks more than anything that has ever sucked before.
Sam impatiently waits on the other side of the road because, hey, nobody crosses at the light. Trying to prove a point, she almost gets hit. But luckily, not only is it a survivor her age who wants to take her for a ride, but it's also the former holder of the 6th place on the theater's Tempest game, returning full circle to the beginning, the end. So what did I think of this 80s gem? Big issue is pacing. Filmmakers do a tremendous job of creating a barren, grim Earth post-Comet and building a sibling relationship. But that time and care came at the expense of action and the Vault Dweller plot. I mean, it's a film where there's at times not a lot going on. Unlike the Survivor Camp in DEFCON 4, I really enjoyed the Vault Dweller subplot. Unfortunately, it felt rushed and would have benefited more time and focus. It seemed pointless finding survivors, seeing how quickly they were turning at the end. The Dwellers were also too comfortable bleeding people dry to save themselves. I mean, I get survival mode, but could we have more than one person that's morally questioning it? The disillusioned Vault Dweller Aubrey White brought much needed humanity to the group. Continuity also seemed to have died during the Comet's return. Reggie survives in a steel production booth, but the stock boys in the mall are infected. Hector spends the night in the back of his semi and survives, but the person in the Mercedes is dead. Sam survives in a non-airtight shed, but the dwellers in the vault are infected when the ventilation system is left open. There is quite a lot to like about this film. The biggest being preparation, preparation, and preparation. And I'm not talking about the kind for your ass. As mentioned, Eberhard took advantage of working with teens who understand what they would do, feel, and experience if given similar circumstances, and the film captured those conversations. The film has real and identifiable characters that, oddly enough for the films that I've reviewed, are actually well developed. We get to know them, their personalities, and backstories. Something else that most of the trash I review lack. The fact that the film's action and story are led by two women in the early 80s is a rarity. They don't seem like ideal survivalists, but they prove that they know their way around weapons and can hold their own in a fight against the occasional zombified stock boy or a sinister vault dweller. Sam's emotional monologue on the hood of the police car strikes an emotional nerve as well as feelings of loss and regret that can be relatable to anyone. Outside of the underwhelming Comet light show and the Dollar Tree title screen, the The filmmakers did a tremendous job setting the overall tone and look of the film. The use of simple visuals like the reddish haze, the deserted streets, the tattered clothing, and of course the red dust created the feeling of an empty, desolate earth, highlighting just how alone they actually are. Finally, there's the addition of the zombie-ish character. Now, the film isn't a zombie movie per se, but plays off the 80s fear of radiation after nuclear devastation. Their inclusion added to the tension and suspense of the film, creating one more thing the survivors have to contend with. The makeup was great. I particularly liked the change from mindless creatures obsessed with brains to creatures that could kill using wrenches, guns, could start cars, ride motorcycles. Now, while they don't factor in much of the film, they are memorable, and their favorite game of scary noises adds to the overall creep factor. Hell, they cause one of the characters that's never encountered them to have nightmares. Twice. Overall, this is a great film. It's one of those 80s sci-fi horror films that's garnered a cult following over the years, and rightfully so. It has a great story, well-rounded characters, and even though it's produced on a low budget, the film's visuals, music, and stylings really capture what made the 80s both great and terrible all at the same time. Well, that's all I got. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like and subscribe button below. If you didn't enjoy it, then tell one of those creepy vault dwellers that hasn't disintegrated yet to hit that like and subscribe button below. But until next time, I'm Bob, you're you. So long, everybody.
You don't need shock.